Today I'm making a jaw-dropping quilt in under an hour using the most beautiful designer fabric ever. It's a jelly roll race with a small twist that will make a huge difference. You are going to love this one. Just look at this. I've been obsessing over it for weeks, ever since I got it, looking for the perfect project to make it shine, and I am pretty sure this is the right one. This jelly roll isn't like anything I own. For starters, it has very little floral patterns, which is rare, and the retro vibe, and just look at these colors, so groovy. I love it. And if, like me, you have a lot of pretty strips on your leftover stash, just go ahead and use them. But I am adding scraps to it as well. I need 2.5-inch squares of a color that will contrast with the awesome colors from my jelly roll. So I'm getting my scraps and cutting 40 squares, one for each strip. I love using pre-cuts because of all the saved time and effort. But I have to say that the best part about this project is not how easy or quick it is to make. It is how much fun we are going to have making this. No calculations, no pattern to follow. There's not even a puzzle to make. We do it freely and blindly, really. And then we get to be surprised with the awesomeness we've just created. This is a one-of-a-kind awesome quilt. But for now, we're just sewing all our strips and squares into one long strip. And you can sew the strips together as they come on the jelly roll or rearrange them as you please. It kind of doesn't matter because it's all going to end up pretty mixed up by the time we're done. Like I said, we are making a jelly roll quilt pattern, but there are several versions of this beautiful quilt, and quite honestly, this isn't even the simplest one of them all. The simple way to do this would be to just sew all the strips together, no squares required. Another easy peasy way to do this would be to sew our strips diagonally, much like we do when we're doing bias tape. But I like this teeny tiny detail. It's like a pattern interrupt. It jumps at you when you see the whole thing, and I think it will be worth the trouble of adding it. And here we have it, the longest strip in history. 40 strips with 40 squares. Now, I have seen some versions with different separators, like several squares or rectangles sewn together. And of course, you could have added these dividers and still make the ends diagonal. There is no limit to what you can do with the jelly roll race quilt, and that is one of its best features. Now, I want to thank Surfshark for sponsoring this video and for keeping me safe online with their awesome VPN service. If you want to protect your online privacy, a VPN or a virtual private network is your best option because it encrypts all the data sent between your computer and the internet. That way, you can browse the internet anonymously and no one can steal your personal information. If you're like me and use public Wi-Fi in coffee shops or hotels, for example, you become a target for hackers that can easily watch you and steal your bank account information. And a VPN is the best way to protect yourself against that, and Surfshark stands tall as the #1 VPN on the market. It is the only VPN where you can connect unlimited devices for just $249 a month, which split between me and all the people I share it with makes it an unbelievable bargain. And it can be used for a lot more than security, like being able to access content that isn't available in your area. I do it all the time to watch my favorite series, or when I'm buying a plane ticket. Before, every time I went back to that website, it got more expensive. With the VPN, the website can't track my browser, so I get lower prices. If you don't already have a VPN, I highly recommend Surfshark to keep your personal data secure wherever you go. You can use my code SOEASY to get 4 months extra, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk trying it out. Click the link in the description so you can get started today. Okay, get ready, because now the real fun begins. First things first, we go to the start of our long strip and cut out 18 inches. That's going to go to our scrap pile. And now we're going to go all the way down our strip to find the end of it. Then we line both ends and we sew all the way down until we run out of fabric. Just like that, that's all it takes to start our race. We cut off the start of our first jelly roll strip because we don't want them to match. If we didn't do that, we'd be sewing 2 strips together that are exactly the same size. So by the time we'd be done, they would line up perfectly, and so would our squares. But we're looking for a staggered look, like we do for our brick wall quilts. We want them mismatched, and this is how we do that. And it doesn't need to be the 18 inches, okay? I just saw everyone do that, and I guess that made sense to me. Because if if I were to cut half of it off, it would all look really neat, like a brick wall, and I don't want that. I want it to look free flow and spontaneous. And this is what we get. Time to cut it in half. And I'm just using my scissors for that. You can press the whole thing to make sure you cut it as perfectly as you possibly can. But I'm not worried. So now we get one big piece made out of 2 strips, right? Let's join both ends again, right sides together of course, and sew. Now, another way to make this quilt that I have seen plenty of people doing it would be to cut our strips to size before we sewed it. So imagine you want a 40-inch white quilt. You just measure our super long strip and cut out our 40 inches and then sew them all together, maybe even chain sew them to make it quicker. That way you would get to see the whole thing laid out before sewing. You could switch a couple of strips around if you wanted. You'd get more control over the whole thing. However, this is so much fun this way, don't you think? The free flow of it, the mindless sewing, and of course the not knowing what it's going to look like. It's like you get an unveiling when you can open the whole thing up. I mean, I can't wait to see what it will look like. And with these fabrics, I am pretty sure it's going to look absolutely awesome by the time we're done. I am so in love with this jelly roll. I wish I had extras just to look at them. I'm excited to use it, but sad to no longer have it. Does that happen to you? It is kind of crazy. And as you can see, I've just been doing the same thing over and over, sewing 2 sides together, then cutting to open the strip, then lining it up again and sewing until we get the width we're looking for. And as you can see, our piece just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And we're not doing anything different. All we need to know how to do is to sew straight lines. I mean, anyone can do this and watch the quilt top grow. I'm not looking at my watch, but I can guarantee I have never made a quilt this quickly. And no puzzle whatsoever, no need to think where each fabric will go. It just does that for you. I've decided I want horizontal strips for my quilt, but vertical strips will look pretty cool too. I kind of feel like a magician doing some kind of trick, because that's how special this quilt pattern is. I mean, quite honestly, if you do only one quilt in your life, I really do hope it's this one. I mean, it's stunning, it's fun, and it is super easy to make. And it is stunning, I hope. Well, if it looks anything like I imagine, it will. And before you know it, I'm done. I am ready to press now because I want all these seams to be nice, flat, and set. Pressing isn't just about getting a flat quilt top. It also helps keep the seams in place and make your quilt sturdy and long-lasting. Because that's exactly what we want a quilt to be, right? We want it to last not only a lifetime, but over generations. Now, let's see if there's any trimming required for this beauty. And yes, I'm keeping it hidden from you as well. I want a proper unveiling. Are you ready? I'm not sure I am. Ta-da! Oh my, this is stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. And remember to stay safe on the internet with Surfshark's VPN. Get 4 extra months with the code SEWEASY. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can try risk it free, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.